Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I am Dr. Claudia Albers, Planet X research and professional physicist. And today I'd like to bring to you another one of my articles. This one's entitled Planet X and Sun Halos, Aliens Covering Up Sun Going Dark. Now, as I have shown in previous articles, the Sun seems to have gone permanently dark by 1998. And you may look at article 536 entitled, Was the Sun Already Not Shining by 1998? One of the ways we can know that the real Sun has been replaced by an artificial Sun simulator system is through Sun halos. The Sun halos, as I have shown in previous articles, and again we'll show in this article, can only be the product of an artificial lens in the atmosphere. The accepted explanation that it is due to ice crystals in the atmosphere is incorrect and illogical, as all that ice crystals suspended in the atmosphere can do is scatter light and thus look white, like a water cloud. And here you can see a sun halo. This one is from a YouTube video called by Tamsin TV, and it's from October 12, 2018. And as you can see, there are straight lines in the sun's outline. Straight lines. It also has a pink edge, so this is clearly not the real sun. It's not yellow, it's not perfectly round like the real sun would be, and there's this light blue beam going through it. And then you can also see the shadow of the chemtrail, which shows that the atmosphere is being illuminated from within, from below this chemtrail. And that's the only way you would be able to produce a shadow on cloud above. And in addition, there's no light coming from above that cloud. If the illumination was coming from above that cloud, then no shadows would be possible because the light would be coming from behind. So this means that the real sun is not illuminating the atmosphere from above as it should be, because the sun is simply not shining. I've shown that in many articles. So here we have an artificial light source which is illuminating our atmosphere. Now, ice crystals may look somewhat like this, but they would never be perfectly aligned. They would have random orientations with respect to each other. And if they have random orientations, they cannot in any way refract light so that light comes out of these ice crystals at exactly the same angle. It is completely impossible. They would come out at separate angles. And light that comes out of crystals at separate angles cannot produce halos. All you get is the scattering of light. And this shows what happens with a real rainbow in the sky. And in order to produce a real rainbow in the sky, you have to see the various colors in white light. And these colors have to be separated, so they come out of the drop at different angles. This is the only way we can see them separately. And it takes 3 refractions. Actually, there are 2 normal refractions at the interface on entering and exiting the water droplet, and then there's a total internal reflection, which is also a refractive effect, but therefore there are basically 3 refractions. Now, in order to produce a rainbow halo, light would be refracted by ice crystals in front of the sun and would go through 2 refractions only. You can see that here. There would only be 2 refractions, not 3. So the 2 colors, the blue and the red, would never be separated by enough of an amount to be seen as separate colors. And yet we have this rainbow effect most of the time around this perfectly circular halo. And in addition, the refractive index of ice is actually less than water. It's 1.31 for ice and it's 1.33 for water. So ice refracts light by a lesser amount than water. It is therefore impossible for ice crystals to split the colors, making up white light enough to create a rainbow effect. You would only get white light. all the colors exiting at the same angle from ice crystals in the sky. So basically, you would never get separation of the colors. You would only get white light. So you cannot get a rainbow effect. But in addition, the only way that you can get a clear arc of light, even if it was white light, is because light comes out at exactly the same angle from each water droplet in the sky. And that can happen because the water droplets are spherical in shape. Ice crystals are not spherical. Well, I've drawn them here as cubes. They may have other faces, a few more faces. They may be hexagonal, they may be octagonal, but they have straight faces which can have different orientations. And so just from one single crystal, you will get light coming out at different angles, as is shown here. And that's from one single crystal. So this effect is impossible from an ice crystal. It can only happen from water droplets because they are spherical. They have a spherical shape and outline. And so the interfaces are always spherical. So the rainbow forms an arc around the observer because light exits every drop of water at exactly the same angle. This is possible because water droplets are spherical in shape. It would be impossible to get an arc if light exited each drop at different angles, and that's what happens with ice crystals. So the impossibility of ice crystals being responsible for sun halos of any kind of regular circle of light in the sky is so blatantly obvious that it astounds me that people have believed this illogical explanation for so long. The only possible explanation for any such appearance in the sky is an artificial lens. It takes technology to produce a lens, and any such phenomenon is therefore not natural. And you can see a halo as well as a light source. It looks white, doesn't look like the real sun, it doesn't look round, but the halo is not even centered on the light source. If halos were due to refraction by ice crystals, the halo would always be centered on the light source. Just like with the rainbow arc is always centered on the observer. And this again shows that this cannot be natural at all. This is two separate things. It's a light source and a lens in the atmosphere, which is not even connected to the light source, and it's actually out of position in this case. So it's two different things, and they are artificial. The light source is artificial, and the lens is most certainly artificial. And you can see two simulators which shows that these are based on laser technology, and they have replaced the sun in our skies. And you can see the green laser beam and the pink laser beam, and you can see the very regular, very not sun-like shape because it's hexagonal in its symmetry. It has 6 sides, and this one has a straight line there, and it's definitely not round. These are not the real sun. And you may look at article 466 entitled Sun Simulated Technologies Based on Lasers, and the sun is no longer shining. Discovery. The sun has been replaced at least since 1998 by these sun simulators which use this technology. And this technology had been developed by 1972. And you may look at article 407 entitled Sun Simulation System, Technology and Power Generation. Since we do not see sun halos in the sky every day, it is possible that the type of simulator that produces a sun halo which is due to a lens being placed in front of the light source, is only used now and then. But since sun halos were photographed before 1998, it seems that the sun simulators which produce sun halos were already in operation before 1998. And you can see one example of that here. This photograph comes from January 1979. So what we have here is the light source. It doesn't appear to be the sun. It looks to be pinkish here. It doesn't have the right shape to be the sun. The sun would never look like this. And what you have is a lens here, and you have another lens there. And so there is more than one device in operation here, and they're working together. So now multiple light rings around the main light source are the result of multiple sun simulators of the type that use a lens in front of the light source working together in the atmosphere. The production of a single sun halo takes several sun simulators working together side by side as well, and this is illustrated here. So what you have is the projector, the holographic laser projector. You have a diverging lens which causes light to spread out, but in order to produce the sun, so the other ones would just light the sky, but then in order to produce the sun effect in the atmosphere, you'd have to concentrate the light again. So you place another lens in front of the projector and that lens. And that causes the light to focus onto a point, and it produces the effect. It will look somewhat like it'll look like a bright light source, and people will take it to be the sun because there will be nothing else in the sky. But then the other simulators around this lens, the light from them will be refracted and go through the edge of the lens and produce that bright circle all the way around the lens, because this would be a round disk. And there will be refraction, which will then split the colors, and you may get the rainbow effect. And for effects like this, where you have several of them, then what you have is these holographic projectors and lenses arranged in different forms in order to produce this. So you have one here, another one there, another one there, and another one above that. So there's the main one here. There will be another one behind and slightly above it, and the two on the side. And you may look at Article 477 entitled Sun Halos, Products of the Artificial Sky Simulation. Now, even though the sun seems to have gone permanently dark by 1998, it is likely that it started going dark for short periods of time long before it went permanently dark. And the sun halo photograph from 1979 suggests that this was indeed the case. It is also very likely that each time it went completely dark, that sun simulators were used to hide that fact from the Earth's population, which suggests that the first sun simulators in operation in the Earth's atmosphere were the ones which produce halos around the central light source. In other words, halo sun simulators. Now, this table comes from the observatory in Hong Kong, and it shows how many times sun halos were observed around the sun since 1976. And you can see there were 7 times in 1984, 7 times in 1990. So this suggests that these sun simulators were used every time the sun went dark, and that it did go dark 7 times in 1984 and 7 times in 1990. At least these were the times that it went dark for Hong Kong, for that latitude. Now, if the sun remained dark during what would be nighttime at this observatory, it is likely that a moon halo would then be observed, because with no sun you wouldn't see the moon, because all the moon does is reflect sunlight. So that would mean that a moon simulator of the same type would be used. And indeed, here we have a photograph of a moon halo. You can see the same rainbow effect, the same perfect circle around the moon. Now, the idea that moonlight, which is only reflected sunlight by the moon, can be bright enough to produce a bright ring due to refraction is ridiculous. At each refraction interface, some of the light is reflected, so it loses brightness. Reflected sunlight, as that is what the moon's light is, it cannot possibly be bright enough to produce a bright rainbow effect ring in the sky. It's just impossible. So this is a halo producing simulator in operation. But now we also have evidence that sun halos have been observed in the past, long before even 1976. It seems that they were rare though, because when several appeared in the sky in 1535, people were very surprised and apprehensive. And then you can see a painting of the event which was made here, and several rings appeared in the sky. So obviously there was some reason for the use of these artificial devices in the sky at the time. And since sun halos can only be produced artificially, and since man did not have the technology to place sun simulators or lenses in the atmosphere at the time, we can only conclude that these sun halos were produced with alien technology and were used by aliens. It also suggests that the sun started going dark for short periods of time, hundreds if not thousands of years ago, most likely whenever another large Planet X object group arrived at the sun. And you may look at Article 544 entitled Planet X Cataclysm, the Dying Sun and Earth Drifting Through Space. But this has been hidden from the Earth's population by these aliens who are obviously running the planet. So in conclusion, sun halos can only be produced artificially. They are not natural phenomena. Even though the sun seems to have gone permanently dark by 1998, it also seems that it had been going dark for short periods of time long before 1998, for perhaps hundreds or even thousands of years. But perhaps only rarely, as sun halos have been observed in the sky for a very long time. The observation of sun halos long before man had the technology to place simulators and lenses in the sky indicates that aliens have been using their alien technology to hide that fact from the Earth's population. The fact that the sun was going dark from time to time. And so these are the references. This is Dr. Claudia Albers, Planet X physicist. Thank you for watching.